Welcome, everybody. Lovely to have you here. And what we'll do is we'll just start off with a bit of breathing, because coming into the space, we might be a little bit, wired or anxious or anything like that. So we're just going to relax and take it easy and do a little bit of breathing. So we're going to do a basic box breathing. And what this will do is it will relax you down. So if you want to imagine a box, okay, and you can draw it in front of you if you want. Okay, so you're going to breathe in for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and hold for 4. And just relax. I'm going to do that once more. So inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. And hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. And then breathe normally. Another great one to help you with anxiety is a double inhale with an exhale. So double inhale is, and you can exhale through your mouth or your nose, it's up to yourself. So inhale, double inhale. If you want to do that 3 times. And as you're exhaling, just let everything go. Okay. Everything go. Today, here and now is your time just to relax and listen and just enjoy. Okay? So what we're going to be talking about today is Ikigai. It's a Japanese concept. And basically what it is Iki, which means life, and Gai, which means purpose. That's Purpose, purpose. So your life's purpose. Now, you're actually born with this, right? And you'll know when you're in it because of the way you feel. When you say, I am good at doing. Like if I said something like, I'm a good architect. I'm not, so I don't feel it. But if I say, I'm a good driver, I feel that. I know I'm a good driver. I know I'm good at communicating with others, helping others. I know I'm good at, I'm kind of good at art. I wouldn't say I'm totally, but to me, I'm good enough at art. I love photography. I love it's a passion of mine. So I know I'm again working at it, but I feel that I love it. It makes me feel happy and joyous, right? So it's that feeling inside you want to get when you talk about something, right? It's your passion. It's what makes you lose time. It's what makes you feel content, and you feel, oh, I never want to stop doing this. But obviously with fatigue, you want to do it in small chunks, right? Because if you do overdo it, obviously you'll get very tired. With ME and chronic fatigue and exhaustion and post-viral fatigue, whatever they want to call it, you want to take it very easy. You want to rest as much as you can, right? Rest is very important so that you can feel a little better, right? Rest, get to bed early, ask for help from your spouse or your children or your friends or whatever you need, okay? Very important that you learn to ask for help and rest. The other important thing you need to do is have a nutritionally dense diet or food plan, okay? Make sure you're getting good quality food that is not too high in sugars and not too high in carbs. You want to keep your carbs in a good place Keep them nice and low. Keep your sugars nice and low. Up your proteins and have a bit of fiber, right? So that when your overall feeling is a bit better and you feel, oh, I'd like to do 5 minutes of art now or 5 minutes of photography, you can do it. You can just click away or you can draw, sketch away, and there's no pressure, but you know you're spending 5 minutes doing what you want. And I find when I'm extremely stressed, right, if there's something really stressful going on at me, I turn to the paper and the pens, because it might be just a pencil and paper and I'll sketch something and it'll get my head out of that space and give me a bit of freedom and a bit of breathing space. Okay, so Ikigai is your what drives you, what makes you feel alive, what makes you feel good, right? It makes you happy, right? Okay, I'm going to do a little visualization in a while to make this a little clearer. Okay, your reason for being, right? I have a son, he's 26 and he lives in Australia. When he was young, when he was 3, I got this, and he was my reason for getting up in the morning. He was my reason so I could just, get out of the bed and do things, because I had to do things. But then he was my reason. I did everything, as in, my whole purpose in life was to give him what he needed. Even though I was very limited, I focus on, and that's what's kept me going every day, right? Obviously, I have a husband as well, and I needed to do everything I could to mind myself so that I could be some form of myself, because it is very difficult. But there are things you can do to help yourself, right? So how do you find your Ikigai? How do you find your Ikigai? Well, there's a couple of questions you can ask yourself, right? What am I good at without draining myself? That's a big question, right? What am I good at without draining myself? And you might say, some people say art, some people say crocheting, knitting, some people say, like I do photography. It depends on yourself and your life, because everybody has an Ikigai, their own individual thing that makes them feel alive. And tuning in and an awareness of what you're doing on a daily basis will actually connect you to this, right? Because you're feeling when you're doing it. Is it just spending time with your best friend, giving your best friend a 5-minute call and she lifts you up, right? Your Ikigai is spending time with your best friend. Your Ikigai could be going out in the garden for 5 minutes and spending 5 minutes in nature, right? Just listening to nature. Okay, so it's what brings you joy. So you ask yourself, what brings me joy? Okay, that's your Ikigai, right? But you need to know that you have to manage it. You have to have boundaries, right? And say to yourself, right, okay, how do I feel today and how much time can I give it? So if I say, oh, I'd love a walk now today, but my energy is quite low today, so I would only be going for a 5-minute walk or maybe a 1-minute walk, and that's okay. With this condition, we have to be comfortable with what we can do, and everything is an achievement. Okay, everything is an achievement, and celebrate the achievements. Okay, it might be you do something and you're thrilled that you did it and you're delighted and you have a nice cup of tea. You sit down, have a nice cup of tea, or you say, you know what I'm going to do now? When my house is whatever, if you've children, they're gone to bed, your husband's watching sports or whatever, I'm going to sneak away at 8 o'clock and have a lovely bath, right? Or a nice shower, and I'm going to go to bed and read 2 pages of my book, even 1 page, right, of your favorite book, right? Your Ikigai could be reading, okay? So your Ikigai is what you love to do, right? And there are these little things that, these are all scientifically proven, right? Okay, all this about Ikigai is, there is a positive psychology tools kit, say positive, it gives you tools, positivepsychology.com, and it gives you tools to use. And it's basically these people who have scientifically based proven exercises. I'm not talking about physical exercises now. They might be just little drawings or something. And basically you look into them. They could be activities, they could be questionnaires, assessments, and they're created by experts, right? And they help you to just look and see what excites you. What is it in your life that you want to spend more time on? A couple of weeks ago, we did the bubbles, and we had all these, we draw all these bubbles, right? And in the bubbles, we would put different things that we do, things we like, what we don't like. And in the bubbles that we liked, say it was photography, and I put it in a medium-sized bubble. What I'm focusing on is making that bubble bigger, increasing my time that I spend on photography. Okay. And my art will go into a medium-sized bubble, and I will over time, I will build that into a bigger size bubble. So what I'll do is I'll say, right, my TV time is not necessary, right? I can shrink that down into a smaller bubble so that I can spend more time on the things that I love to do. Social media, right? It's great, but in small chunks, right? And it depends what you're watching. Watch out for what you're watching. Make sure it's helpful to you. It's advising you in the right way. It's enjoyable. It makes you laugh. I click into dog tricks all the time and funny dog things. You'll see a lot when you go to my Facebook, a lot of comedial things. So basically, that's what brings me joy. Laughing, making people laugh brings me joy. So yeah, so basically what we are going to be doing later on is we will be just looking at these bubbles and circles a little bit more, mostly the circles, and I'll do a very simplistic diagram of them. And we shared on the email that was there, we shared a diagram. It's quite complex, so I'll go through that very simply for you, right? But for us, we would possibly just focus on what we love and what we're good at, right? Okay, and what we want to increase. It's a passion. It's a love. It's a thing that makes us excited, right? So that's what that is about. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I am going to do a visualization. Okay, and this is just a visualization to get you thinking. Okay, so I'm going to get you to close your eyes. Right, take a nice deep breath in and let everything go. Feel your shoulders dropping down. Feel the support of the chair holding you. Let it hold you. Let everything just go. Let everything go. You know you're safe here. Okay? And I'm going to take you to a beautiful beach. Okay? We're walking along the promenade, and we go down onto the sand. We walk along the sand, and the beautiful ocean is on our left-hand side. And just ahead of us is a pier. And as we reach the pier, we take a nice deep breath in and take a lovely breath in of this sea air. Walk along the pier, okay? And at the end of the pier, you'll see a little boat on your right-hand side of the pier. You're going to step into that boat. And there's a little engine in it. You turn on the engine and off you'll go, right? And you'll have a little handle. You can direct it either way, right? For the moment, we're just going straight. Okay, we're going to just go along in the boat, enjoying the scenery around us. You'll see some birds in the sky. You'll hear the birds calling out to each other. You might see a bit of seagulls and boats around. You might see some beautiful sails, lovely red and yellow sails, white sails, blue sails. People out doing what you're doing, just enjoying the ocean. The water is very calm, And the temperature is beautiful. It's a lovely warm breeze. Everything is just heavenly. And now in the distance, you can see a little island. Okay. And I want you to think about what you would bring to this island to entertain yourself. Something that, you know, you love to do. And I pick three things. I pick two things. I pick two things, right? Okay, you don't have to worry about, this is your imagination, so you don't have to worry about electricity or anything. You will have what you need. It's on the island, but you have to think about it before you get there so that it's there for you when you arrive. Okay, you're going to be on this island for quite an amount of time. So you want to think about, okay, what do I love to do that will entertain me while I'm in the island? I know I can eat the fruit off the trees and I can fish for fish in the ocean. So I'm not going to starve. Okay, there'll be a nice little hut there that I can sleep in that will be comfortable and warm. But what am I going to do all day? I know I can go for little walks on the beach. I can make things out of wood because I will have a little knife there that can chop up or carve up the wood and clean out the fish if I need to. So those will be there. But I'm talking about something that will entertain you. So what I picked was my camera and my sketch pad. Now, I don't mind if I have a pencil. As long as I have a pencil and a sketch pad, I will be happy forever, right? Okay. If I have my camera, I will be entertained forever. And those are the two things I'm going to bring on the island. I don't have to worry about anything. I will be able to click away to my heart's content. And the island is big enough that I can walk around. I can see different animals, little creatures, birds, seals. There's fish in the ocean and the water is crystal clear. It's aqua. You can see right through it and it's nice and warm. So you know that you're not going to be cold. You can go in and you can paddle through the water and you can just see the fish. You can have this, you can see under the water because it's your imagination. You don't need snorkelers or anything like that. You can breathe under the water, so you can swim to your heart's content. You have all the energy in the world. This is your ideal spot. But what I want you to think about is the two things you would bring. Okay? Give you a moment now to think about that. You can bring two things or you can bring three things, but a maximum of three things. Or you can just bring one. It's up to yourself. Okay? Okay, hopefully you're getting on okay with that and you've picked two things. Okay, so you're on the island. All right, you've got your two things that you love to do. You're going to be here now for quite a while. So what I want you to do is I want you to come back to the island later on when I'm gone, when you have a quiet moment. Even tonight before you go to sleep, bring yourself back to the island and have a walk around. Okay, have the things that you wanted to bring. Maybe do whatever it is you want to do that relaxes you and brings you joy. And then as you're doing it, fall off to sleep. I've been doing this now for a couple of nights. And what I did the last night was our family home was sold lately to a lovely couple who have done it up. Now, the last couple that bought it, I adored my family home. I loved it. It was just, it was my home. I was born there and lived there till I was 19. I did go away for a while. I traveled for a year and then came home. But while I was there, I loved it. I felt so safe, I felt safe. And I imagine these people are like the last people didn't do up the house at all. They left to go to rack and ruin, and it really, really annoyed me. Not that I thought about it too much, but I would say, God, would you not put a bit of love into it? Like, but now when you pass it, it's painted. There was a third story up top, and they put up this gridding and stuff, and it looks gorgeous. To put in new windows. I'm sure they've knocked a few walls inside, and I was trying to think, what would they do with it? And I was walking up the steps. I haven't walked up those steps in 36 years. And I walked up the steps and I walked up to the door and I walked around the house, and it brought me such a lovely feeling. And I walked into the different rooms and whatever, and I imagined, what would they do with it? And that I fell asleep doing that. For the last few nights I've been doing that, and I fell asleep, and it's a lovely way to fall asleep. But that's what I did. And you can do that wherever you want as well. But I'm asking you to do it on the island, so you can actually see what the story is. Okay, so I'm going back to the Ikigai now for the moment, right? Okay. All right. So you've picked your two things that you absolutely love, right? Okay, your reason for living, your drive, you're clear what it is. And if you're not, you can go back to it later and revisit it, right? It's your reason, it's your Ikigai. You have your own individual. It's not what somebody else is telling you. It's by the feeling inside that this is what you really want to do. Whether you're good at it or not, it doesn't really matter, but you love to do it. It brings you joy. And you're happy with the level you're at, right? You're happy with the level you're at. Like my art, I'm happy enough with the level I'm at. It's not going to win any competitions, but that's not what I want. I just want it for my joy, my fulfillment, right? Doesn't have to be big, doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to have a degree in it or anything. It's just what makes you happy, right? Okay. You don't have to go for walks for miles. You can go and you can drive your car and you can sit by a bench, right? You can sit by a bench and you can just look at nature, right? And you can just have even 5 minutes sitting there looking. You can go out in your back garden. You don't even have to travel anywhere. Just go out in your back garden and sit there and listen and enjoy. Wrap up well, keep yourself warm. This time of year, obviously, but it's dry. Once it's dry, you have your hat, your gloves, your scarf, your jackets, you have your hoodies, layer up and get warm and get out there and take your deep breaths and give yourself oxygen. Oxygen is very important for the body. And to feel better, you need to look after this body of yours, right? You need to feed it good food, right? Because if you feed it good food, it'll look after you better, right? Okay. If you feed it the wrong food that doesn't agree with you, or food that is too sugary or too sweet or too carbohydrate, you're just going to cause havoc with your body, right? Because your emotions and your hormones are going to go flip-floppy, and your mood is going to go flip-floppy up and down, because you're spiking things in your body that shouldn't be spiked, and you're getting sugar rushes and all the rest of it, and it's basically not going to do you any good. So the sooner you sort that out, the better, right? There's no panic with it. You can do it nice and slowly at your own pace. I'm at the moment I'm not trying to, I'm doing. I normally would eat a punnet of blueberries with my bowl of porridge in the morning, which is way too much. And I'd slip back into my having too much fruit over the summer months, obviously. And I'd be over at my sister, and it would be nice and warm, and I'd have 3/4 of a watermelon. Now, I honestly didn't realize watermelons were so full of sugar, right? It was a shocking shock to me. that this was the fact, and I'm very disappointed in it. But if you're anyway diabetic, you're not allowed to have too much watermelon, right? You have to focus on the berries. The berries are less sweet. Bananas are another thing that are full of sugar, and I was eating them every day. Okay, so basically, you can Google how much spoons of sugar are in a bowl of rice, and you will find out 100 grams of rice is equivalent to about 10 spoons of sugar, which is shocking revelation I had this weekend. So yeah, so I am now down to, I haven't had my blueberries today yet. Oh, I think I had four. I had four blueberries. And what I'll do in a while is for my snack, I'll have a Rivita with peanut butter, and I will put a couple of like 8 blueberries on top of that, and that'll be done. Me done. That's my treat. Just one Rivita with, and I was having 3 Rivitas every day with the peanut butter and whatever. So I had to cut back on the peanut butter because it's everything in moderation, really. Do you know? And eat good food. Eat your proteins. Have plenty of protein on your plate. Okay, plenty of protein and good veg. Okay, and as I said, you can Google these things. I probably will cover them again, because it is so important, right? Your ikigai is like a plant, right? You need to feed it, feed it. In other words, do things that feed this. Like my ikigai is my art and my photography, right? So this winter, I will focus on my art and my photography, and I'll do a little bit of doodling, a little bit of art, and I'll do my photography. I did it 5 minutes of it this morning. And basically, I'll go out tomorrow night. If I'm feeling up to it, I'll go out and do a bit of photography. And, you know, they usually do it for maybe an hour. If I can do it for even a half an hour, I'll be fine. But I'll wrap up warm and I'll go out and take a few shots and see how they turn out and be grand. If I don't feel up for it, I won't go. You know, I can, you know, you have to do what your body allows you to do. You have to listen to your body and adjust to it. Okay, because this is a new you with this condition, right? Okay. So a little bit of a time for yourself every day is good, right? So if you can say, right, I'll read for 5 minutes. I love to read. Or I'll do art for 5 minutes. I love to do art. If you can get 5 minutes in even every day, to do something, and you can build on it if you want. You can say, right, today I'll do 5 minutes, and tomorrow I'll continue on 5 minutes. And then you get into another 5, and then you find, oh, this is becoming a habit. Habits forming is very important. It's great. It's great because you're getting into the habit of doing things that are fun, right? You're feeding your ikigai. Ikigai. I keep getting that wrong. The other thing is to trust your gut. Okay, trust your gut and what it's telling you, right? Your gut will tell you very fast if something is right or wrong, right? Okay. And if it's not right, listen to your gut and ask yourself, what's going on here? Do you know, what is it trying to tell me? Right. So I remember once I was there and I came back. My son was in, I had to bring him to hospital. He had a pain in his tummy or his side. And I brought him in thinking it was an appendix, and they looked at him and blah, blah, blah. And anyway, he wasn't a typical appendicitis. So I wasn't a typical, I hadn't a typical appendicitis either. So I was aware of this. So I brought him in anyway, and they checked him out and said it could be appendicitis, but we're not sure, go home. And a nurse came up to me and she said, it was a godsend that she came up to me. She said, if he's not right in the next 20 minutes from arriving home, come back in, right? So I came home and I was there, and there was a little room we had for him, and he could relax with his buddies and watch some TV. So I said to him, lie down there now and take it easy, and I'll bring you in a little drink, and you can watch TV if you want for a while and see what the story is. So I closed the door and I left him because he was quite enough, you know. And I was just, something was itching at me, like itching big time. And I was like, what is it? And I didn't get for the glass of water. I went into the front room, and it's a long room, and I walked up and down. I goes, what is wrong? what's going on? What am I going to do? I've got this awful feeling, do you know? So I said, come on. And my father is passed for a long time, and I kind of talk to him all the time. I go, Dad, come on, tell me what to do. What is it I need to do? And then I kind of go quiet, whatever. And something came to me. And I went into the room, walked really fast into the room, and said to him, get up, get up, get up. And he's going, what? And I said, get up, get up. And he said, what? I said, this is going to tell me whether you need to go back into hospital or not. So I got him up and I said, jump up and down. He said, are you kidding me? I said, I'm not. I said, jump up and down. And he jumped up and down and landed on the floor. I said, right, get back in the car. Went back into the car, got back to the hospital, told him this is serious. It's definitely an appendicitis. We need to get it looked at ASAP. And I've been here before and blah, blah, blah. And I went doing it. So I was quite, I was liturgical in my speaking and everything. And they knew I'd be back in, I'd been in before. And I said, I'm telling you, this is what's happening. So that was fine anyway. Went in and they got me us up to surgery. And we were outside surgery and we were laughing and joking together. I mean, and that's how I was when I had my appendix as well. We were laughing and joking together, looking at, of all things, he couldn't eat and he was starving. He was a young fella and he was always hungry and he was starving. He hadn't eaten in hours and hours. And he was there and he was looking at food recipes on a food channel that was on. And he was like, Mom, this is agony. Like, come on, this is like driving me nuts. He said, this is sore in my appendix. Like, and I was good. I know, let's make up a recipe that we can have when you get out and you're better and you want whatever food you want. So he's like, oh, I want a steak and I want chips and I want or whatever, beans or whatever he wanted. And then I want ice cream and I want chocolate sauce, whatever. So we were doing this. We were not like this and we were roaring laughing because this really wasn't helping him. He said, I'm hungrier now. So we were roaring laughing. And the surgeon came out and said, looked at us as if we had two heads and brought him in. And a couple of hours later, how long ever it took, I was still sitting there. And he came out and he says, Mrs. Ward, he said, I honestly came out to you looking at you, going, what are you wasting my time for? There's nothing wrong with this young fella. Brought him in. He was seconds from erupting. He says, seconds, actually seconds. He said, whatever you did to push this forward, he says, you were very lucky. And it was my gut. So I rely on my gut and it has saved my life many a time. So that's just a little story about saving the gut, following your gut and what it's telling you. Listen to it, right? So regarding the circles, right? If you haven't figured out what your Ikigai is, right, you're going to draw circles. So basically what I'm going to do now is I'm going to simplify it because it's too complicated where it is, right? Okay, so I'm going to just get this down here, okay? And I'm going to show you. Can I put that on? No, the photograph of what you got in the email, right? Okay, so what we're going to be focusing on is this circle here and this circle here for the moment, right? And that circle, if you want to just draw two independent circles. Okay, let's keep it simple. All right. So you're going to draw two independent circles there. Okay. All right. So two circles. Okay. And in one circle, you're going to say what you love. What you love to do. And the other one is what you're good at. Now, what you're good at, right, can be your standard of what you're good at. If it brings you joy, right, that's the key, right? Because I mean, I'm a photographer, right? Okay, I love my photography. I go to the photography club and I've been taking photographs since I was knee-high to a grasshopper, right? Okay. I just love it, absolutely love it. And I'm way back in the disposable camera times when I used to go on holidays and I used to click away and then you had to, you had to just get them printed out and you looked at them and half them were rubbish, right? But you did get one or two that were perfect. Now in the digital age, it's wonderful because I can take hundreds of shots and then I can pick my top 3 or 4, whatever I like, and delete the ones I don't like, right? Okay. I don't judge. We don't judge each other in here. We just do whatever brings us joy. There's no judgment. We do writing groups and we write away and we write what we want to write. And you know what? It's unbelievable what people are coming up with because there's no judgment, right? We don't need to be hard on ourselves. We don't need to judge ourselves. We just need to give it a go. Don't overthink things, right? If we overthink things, we're going to talk ourselves out of it, right? Okay, so they're the 2 circles that you just need to focus on, right? Okay, the rest we can do in more detail, but it would just get too complicated, right? Okay, so if I look at, say, okay, so if I look at this Ikigai, right? If you do something that you love and that you're good at, or your standard of good, that's a passion, right? That's what gets you up in the morning. That's what gives you drive in the morning. It's what makes you get excited about things. And that's what we want, right? If it's even just going out and spending time in nature, sitting in nature, if it brings you joy and lets you have that feeling inside that you say, oh yeah, I'm really going to spend more time doing that. Then your quality of life will increase because you're doing more of what you love and less of what you hate. You need to be very conscious of who you're spending time with, right? Be with people that make you feel better, right? Make with people that put a smile on your face, right? Obviously, things aren't going to be rosy in the garden all the time. There'll be a time and a place to be serious. But, I mean, you can still go out and talk to your friend and have a walk and stuff and spend time talking about what it is you want to talk about and then have a laugh and stuff and bring the lighthearted enough into it. So it's not, like if I go out for my walk with my friend and she is there and she is feeling under pressure about something, she'll bounce it off me and then she'll say, what do you think? And I will bounce things off her and we'll laugh about it and say, Jesus, what are we like? And then we'll swap into something else and we'll talk about something else. We'll spend a little bit of time on those things, give each other a little bit of help, and then we'll go on to other things, right? It's very important, right? And it's good to have friends that, are on the same page as you and they lift you up and they make you feel loved and they make you feel respected, right? People should respect you. They shouldn't give you grief. If people are giving you grief, that's not good, right? You need to set up a few boundaries and protect yourself and say, no, I'm not talking to you when you're talking like this. I'll talk to you when you are calmed down a bit, or I'll talk to you when you're in a better mood. Or as I say to Jim, oh, he's back. Oh, no, get rid of him now. We don't want him in the house. Right? If Jim's feeling, he went to a funeral there a couple of weeks ago and he came back and he was in dire form. He was just feeling the world was on top of him. And I just left him off. And then after the next day, he was feeling a little bit the same. And I said, okay, we need to make you aware that he's back and we want him to leave. If you have something that's bothering you, we talk about it. Otherwise, we get rid of him. We call him him. Or we can give him a name and his name is Frank. Right? We don't want Frank in the house, right? We have a Frank and we have an Al. Now, Al gets blamed for everything. Al gets blamed for everything. If we forget something or we don't do something, oh, you must have told Al. You didn't tell me. You must have told Al. That's no. And if someone is not in good form or whatever, you go, oh, Frank's in the house. And just to make people aware of, what personality is coming out. And because I mean, it's not something that is in the house an awful lot. It might creep in every now and again if things are getting on top of you. You might get a bit, you mightn't have eaten enough food in the day. Make sure you're eating enough and you might get hangry. You might be feeling pressure because your thought management is gone a bit skew ways and you're thinking negative thoughts. You might have been with a friend who's disrespectful, those kind of things, right? Okay, they'll all be helpful for you if you acknowledge the fact that, oh dear, be aware of your mood, right? And how you're feeling, right? So that you know, oh, Frank's in the house, gotta change the direction of how I'm thinking, right? We don't want to be driving to Dublin and end up in Cork. We got to turn the car around and make sure we're going to Dublin, don't we? Right? So if we find ourselves thinking in a negative way, we're sliding, go, oop, flip this, turn it around and head for the right direction. Okay. When you're filling in your circle and you're sharing your content, right, with yourself, it is content based on your experience, your knowledge, and your understanding of the world, your wants, your beliefs, your needs. Okay, so everybody is individual. So don't be critical of yourself. Just go with the flow and just, you know, if you have to stay quiet and listen, just listen to yourself and say, what is it I love to do? You know, back in the day, it was skiing for me. I adored skiing. It was my Ikigai for sure. Unfortunately, I can't do that anymore, but I can still travel to places where there is snow and be around snow and visualize myself skiing. And if I can't do that, I can go into my imaginary brain and I can actually close my eyes and I can feel myself on the snow going down the slopes and feel and hear the sound of the swish, 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 swish around the corner and down you go and feel the wonderful feeling of skiing, breaking through the fresh snow. Wonderful, wonderful. So I don't actually have to be physically able to do it. I can actually do it in my imagination. And when you do it in your imagination, your brain doesn't know the difference. So it fills your body with endorphins, happy hormones, right? And that is an absolute joy. I do that regularly. And it is absolutely, it's heavenly. It really is. So our imaginations are a blessing in disguise. So, a passion is something you actually don't get paid for, right? And that's okay. You don't have to get paid for it. We're not able to work really because, you know, our energy levels is too up and down. So basically, if we went in somewhere and worked for an hour, we wanted to go home again, you know. And then after going in there for 3 days in a row, not even 3 days in a row, you probably end up on your back again. So you might as well just relax, take it easy, be at home and look after yourselves and do the best you can and don't give yourself a hard time. Okay, that's not the Ikigai way. The Ikigai way is kindness, kindness for yourself, kindness for others. There are zones called blue zones, right? And in these blue zones, there are people who live together in little villages and they eat organic food and they have a Mediterranean diet. They use a lot of olive oil instead of butter. Not saying that you can't eat butter. Butter is definitely better than margarine. Margarine is like salt. Table salt is a no-no. Butter is better if you can eat dairy. If you can't eat dairy, you can always use the olive oil. They are a community that look after each other. They respect their elders, and their elders live for a longer period of life because they have eaten well, they have company, they have joy in their lives, laughter, good company. They're respectful towards each other. They're not fighting all the time, and they're just basically respectful, and they do a lot of cooking and a lot of care for each other. Okay, and they would be shepherds who look after their flocks. They would have sheep, cows, all those kind of things, and they're self-sufficient. And it is a great way of life. there's also these little villages. Some of them are by the ocean, others are villages, but the hills, there's hills in these villages, which is good for exercising the heart. And you might only walk for 5 minutes, but it'd be upward inclined for 5 minutes, right? And that is actually good for the heart, right? Getting exercise, blowing out the lungs. It has a very big social outlook, right? They cook for each other, they care for each other. There's no nursing homes, and the men have less stress in their lives. They are shepherds. They look after their flocks. They would make things with their hands. They would cook things from scratch, everything like that. It's all very natural. Now, it's harder these days to keep those villages the way they are because of modern life creeping in. They have the fast foods creeping in, which is really bad for you, and other things. So the Ikigai way is sliding, unfortunately. But it is a good lifestyle that you can adopt in your own way by eating good cuts of meat, reared on grass and set free, not cocooned in a tight space like you see. You've free range eggs, you've grass fed beef, you've pigs reared in a natural way and fed proper food, not junk. Do you know, sometimes people just feed pigs unbelievable things, but they're fed proper food, and they don't have the sweets and sugars and all that. They'd make their own apple pies. They'd make their own desserts. They wouldn't have chocolate bars every day, and they wouldn't have those fluctuations of sugar levels all the time, which is very, very damaging to our arteries and thus our heart. Our arteries are the things we want to keep fresh, keep young. It's very important that we look after them. Okay, an awful lot of people there was no diabetes back in the day, right? No diabetes back in the day. It's all the modern life that is bringing it on. I mean, I have a 12-year-old neighbor here who has diabetes. I wonder what is it that causes diabetes. But in fact, if you have type 2 diabetes or you're pre-diabetes, you can turn it around, right? You can turn it around. Now, type 1 diabetes is a different thing, right? But type 2 diabetes, you can. I've met many, many people who have said they had diabetes, but they're not on medications, which is fantastic, right? And that's down to what they eat: low carbs, low sugars, and high fats. And you can eat like a good steak with fat on it. It's not the fat that's the problem, it's the sugars and the carbs, okay? Your self-esteem will be raised by your positive self-talk. You know that, don't you? So make it a habit to talk to yourself positively. Be your own friend. Look after yourselves, right? It's important we look after ourselves. We're not going to get feeling better if we don't look after ourselves, okay? It is very, very, very important that we look after ourselves so that we can do more stuff and we can be there for others, okay? I must say, in the beginning days, I didn't look after myself. I kept fighting this thing. And if you keep fighting this thing, it's not going to work. You know, it is too powerful. You've got to find a system that works for you, okay? If you don't find a system that works for you and you get on a kind of an equilibrium with a few little ups and downs, not the big ups and downs, right? You're going to damage your body even more and you're never going to get a better quality of life. Okay, you need to have an equilibrium and then small ups and downs. Like I had a small hiccup now this week just because I knew I'd overdid it on Saturday, but it wasn't too severe. I still was able to do something on Sunday. did a gentle day on Sunday, and then Monday was yesterday. I slept most of the day yesterday. It actually, I had a good sleep this morning and took it easy, and we'll take it easy again tomorrow if needed, you know. But when you're feeling tired, rest, right? When I was young, I used to go to bed at the same time as my son, which was between, depending on what age he was, between 7 and 8 o'clock. And I'd just go to bed with him and sleep, read him a little story, and then fall asleep with him. And it's what I needed, you know. So that's about it for today, guys.